I would suggest that you defend and stand alongside the victims of illegal crime.
This is political rhetoric.
The citizens who live here and are United States Americans. I would suggest you advocate for them as hard as you do
Secretary, I know you're doing a political speech here.
No, I'm
I
not,
get it.
sir.
I'm asking questions of law. No, you're just spewing rhetoric.
I truly believe this, sir. We are utilizing every due process tool that this Congress has afforded us. The Congress decides what due process is appropriate for every situation. Expedited removal is a due process that you have afforded us that we are utilizing. The Alien Enemies Act.
I'm going to
is another
reclaim my
tool that
time,
we're
Madam
utilizing.
Secretary.
So we are giving due process and using the tools
Madam
that
Secretary,
this Congress has given us.
This is really,
Welcome back to Right View Nation, the home of unapologetic truth, bold opinions, and unfiltered patriotism. If you believe in law and order, protecting our borders, and putting American citizens first, you're in the right place. Smash that like button, subscribe, and buckle up, because today we're diving into one of the most ridiculous displays of political hypocrisy we've seen in Washington in a while. Folks, what we just witnessed was an absolute masterclass in political gaslighting by the left.
Senator Van Hollen.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Secretary, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
And I was glad to see in your recent testimony that you reaffirmed your obligations to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And I understand you had an exchange with Senator Murphy on the Abrego Garcia case. And so I'm just going to put the question directly to you. Are you or DHS doing anything to comply with the 9-0 Supreme Court order to facilitate his return to the United States? Just yes or no.
This administration is following all federal court orders.
Madam Secretary, this is a simple
question.
question.
It's the president's prerogative on conversations that happen with the president of El Salvador.
I ask a simple question. We have a limited amount of time. I just asked you, Madam Secretary, whether or not you or the Department of Homeland Security are taking any action to facilitate the 9-0 Supreme Court decision to facilitate his return. This is a very simple question. Are you taking any action to facilitate his return, or are you not?
This administration is following and complying with all federal court orders
so,
to make sure that we
So you are, because the court ordered that you facilitate his return, so you are facilitating his return.
Sir, Senator, thank you for the question, but what I would tell you is that we are following court orders and that your advocacy for a known terrorist is alarming to me.
Madam Secretary.
It's alarming to me because he's a human smuggler.
Madam Secretary, I'm going to have to reclaim
and a terrorist, and he's not a U.S. citizen. He's a citizen of El Salvador, and he's home. If he were to come back
Madam
here,
Secretary,
we would take him immediately
all right,
back to
I'm going to have
Salvador.
to, Madam Secretary, you should know a couple facts then, which is, number one, in 2019, the immigration court said that he should not be returned to El Salvador because it would put his life in danger. The Trump administration at the time did not appeal that decision. After that, he got a work permit and was working legally in the United States of America. This is also why the district court and the appellate court and the Supreme Court have ruled as they have. I suggest that rather than make these statements here, that you and the Trump administration make them in court under oath, because despite what you just said, the federal district court whose judge is hearing this case right now said, and I'm quoting, that the administration has provided no evidence linking Abrego Garcia to MS-13 or any other terrorist activity. I'm not vouching for the man. I'm vouching for his due process rights.
Yes, you are, sir. You've
no,
been vouching for
Madam
him.
Secretary, with
respect.
respect.
I would suggest that you defend and stand alongside the victims of illegal crime.
This is political rhetoric.
The citizens who live here and are United States Americans. I would suggest you advocate for them as hard as you do for
Madam Secretary, I know you're doing a political speech here.
I'm
I
not,
get it.
sir.
I'm asking questions of law. No, you're just spewing rhetoric.
I truly believe this. I
Well, you're
truly believe
spewing
this
rhetoric.
as an
Let me
American.
ask you this. Do you agree with Justice Scalia in the Supreme Court opinion in Reno v. Flores that, I'm quoting, "It is well established that the Fifth Amendment entitles aliens to due process of law in deportation proceedings." End of quote.
Sir, we are utilizing every due process tool that this Congress has afforded us.
The
Congress decides what due process
Secretary,
is appropriate for every situation. Expedited removal is a due process that you have afforded us that we are utilizing. The Alien Enemies Act
I'm going to
is another
reclaim my
tool that
time,
we're
Madam
utilizing.
Secretary.
So
You
we are
are,
giving due
Madam
process
Secretary.
and using the tools
Madam
that
Secretary,
this Congress has given us.
this is really, I'm asking sort of simple questions of law and simple questions like, are you complying with the 9-0 Supreme Court decision? And you seem to think that's some kind of trick question. Let me ask you this. You were down at CCOT in El Salvador, and you said, and that I'm quoting, it is one of the tools in the toolkit that we will use. And it's well known that the Trump administration is paying the government of El Salvador to keep these individuals, including those who the U.S. courts have determined were illegally taken out of the country in violation of their due process rights. Have you seen the grant document between the United States and the government of El Salvador with respect to the CCOT?
It's important that everybody knows the consequences of what happens for their actions in this country. When you break the law and you're a member of a foreign terrorist organization,
I asked you a
there are
question. Have you seen the document? This is not hard.
Yes, I have.
Okay. And what are the provisions of the document? So do you know what entities in El Salvador are receiving the funds?
I'm sure you can see this document as well and have looked at it for evaluation.
I'm glad you raised that, Madam Secretary, because I sent you a letter along with many of my colleagues here on April 8th asking for, among other things, that document. Will you respond to the letter that we sent?
I will respond to your letter.
Thank you. Can I get some sense of when?
We will take a look at it. I don't remember seeing your letter yet, but I will certainly take a look at it.
Well, it's been there over a month.
The senator's time has expired.
No, Madam Chair.
Senator Kennedy?
Madam Chair.
Madam Secretary.
Secretary, I have some additional questions.
No,
related
sir.
to
That's up
fire
to you
cap.
to manage that time. Senator Kennedy.
Madam
Well,
Secretary.
I need a little help from a chair that respects the members of the committee. I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Senator Chris Van Hollen. Yes, that same senator who bends over backwards to defend open borders and illegal immigration, went toe-to-toe with Homeland Security Secretary Noem in a tense back and forth over one Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Now who is Garcia? According to Secretary Noem, and frankly common sense, he's a known human smuggler and non-citizen. Not a refugee, not an innocent immigrant, a man who has violated our laws and put American lives at risk. Yet here we have Van Hollen throwing a tantrum because this criminal isn't being rushed back into the country with red carpet treatment. Are you complying with the 9-0 Supreme Court ruling? Let's pause right there. He keeps harping on this Supreme Court ruling, which the administration has already stated it's complying with. But it's not about the ruling, is it? It's about theatrics. It's about shaming our government for daring to keep an illegal alien and suspected criminal out of our country. This is what the left calls justice now. Now listen closely. Van Hollen goes on to say he's not vouching for the man, only his due process rights. Really? Because from where I sit, it sounds like he's going out of his way to excuse and defend a foreign national with zero allegiance to this country, and a background that raises every red flag in the book. Where's the due process for the American citizens killed by fentanyl trafficked through our borders? Where's the due process for the women assaulted by illegal migrants released under sanctuary city policies? Where's the voice for the victims of open borders insanity? I'll tell you where. It's drowned out by virtue-signaling politicians who care more about foreign criminals than their own constituents. Secretary Noem did her best to stay composed, and let me say, I applaud her for calling this nonsense out. She flat out told Van Hollen, "Your advocacy for a known terrorist is alarming to me." That's the kind of strength we need in government. Someone who isn't afraid to speak truth to politically correct power. And let's be clear, even if the courts haven't confirmed Garcia's ties to MS-13, the intelligence community is under immense political pressure not to make those links public. Don't be naive, folks. The rot goes deep. Van Hollen then shifts gears and accuses the U.S. of paying El Salvador to detain migrants. Well, guess what good? If that's what it takes to keep dangerous individuals like Garcia out of our homeland, then it's money well spent. Call it foreign aid with teeth. But Van Hollen doesn't want accountability. He wants an open-door policy where even deported individuals with red flags get a second, third, or fourth chance. Why? Because the left's entire voter-based strategy depends on turning illegal migrants into future voters. You don't need to be a legal scholar to understand this madness. You just need to walk the streets of San Francisco, Chicago, or New York, where law-abiding Americans suffer while criminal aliens get sanctuary, housing, and benefits paid for by your tax dollars. And they wonder why real Americans are fed up. They wonder why Trump surged in 2016 and is surging again now. Because we the people are tired of being second-class citizens in our own country. This isn't about one man, folks. This is about the rule of law, national sovereignty, and the soul of our nation. Either we have borders or we don't. Either we enforce the law or we let activist judges and leftist politicians undermine it until we're just a global doormat. Van Hollen can pretend he's standing up for human rights, but in reality, he's standing in the way of justice, security, and common sense. If you're sick and tired of watching our leaders put criminals before citizens, if you believe in law, order, and the America First agenda, then it's time to raise your voice. Backhand index pointing down, drop a comment below. Should foreign nationals with criminal records ever be allowed to return after deportation? Stop sign subscribe to Right View Nation, where we don't play by the left's rules. Loudspeaker and share this video to wake people up to what's really going on. This is Right View Nation, signing off. Stay strong, stay free, and stay loud.